What was the last straw in your marriage? My wife, Natalie, came stumbling out of the club bathroom with mascara running down her face. She was drunk and sobbing because the bartender she'd been flirting with all night rejected her advances, right in front of me and all our friends. I stood there frozen as she grabbed my arm, crying about how he'd told her he doesn't get involved with married women. The same bartender who'd been watching her throw herself at him while I sat at our table, pretending not to notice. The same guy who kept giving me sympathetic looks every time she touched his arm or laughed too loud at his jokes. Our friends avoided eye contact as I called an Uber. The drive home was silent except for her drunken sniffling. When we got home, I told her to sleep on the couch, that we'd talk in the morning, but I knew there was nothing left to talk about. I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through the past 5 years of marriage, the constant accusations whenever I talked to female coworkers, the jokes about how she could do better, the way she'd get blackout drunk and start fights at every social event. That's when I heard retching sounds from the living room. I found her hunched over the toilet, an empty pill bottle on the counter. Through her vomiting, she slurred something about taking sleeping pills. The prescription label said Xanax from 2019, prescribed to Thomas Reynolds, her ex. My hands shook as I dialed 911. The operator kept asking if she was breathing. I couldn't tell. Everything became a blur of sirens and uniforms. 4 EMTs burst through our door with a stretcher. 2 cops started asking me questions I barely heard. "This happens more than you'd think," one EMT said as they loaded her in. "Alcohol and benzos. People don't realize it can stop your breathing." I followed the ambulance to County General, the same hospital where we first met, when she was a new nurse and I came in with a broken wrist. Back then, her smile lit up the room. Now all I could see was her limp body on that stretcher. The ER doctor said she was stable, but they were pumping her stomach, that she'd need to stay for observation. A nurse handed me her personal effects in a plastic bag, her wedding ring, phone, and the necklace I gave her on our first anniversary. I sat in the waiting room scrolling through her phone, hundreds of deleted texts to the bartender going back months, Instagram DMs to guys from her gym, dating apps she'd installed and deleted. Each discovery felt like another punch to the gut. At 4 a.m., they said I could see her. She was asleep, an IV in her arm, looking small and pale in the hospital bed. Not like the woman who'd been trying to seduce a bartender hours earlier. Not like my wife at all. I kissed her forehead and left her wedding ring on the bedside table. Then I drove home, fed our cat Roger, and watched the sun come up from our back porch.